Tom Hardy officially announced that Venom 3 is in production, and recently Tom Hardy uploaded a video on his official Instagram account. This is an old clip from Venom Let There Be Carnage, but the actor did say that he uploaded the clip only because working on Venom 3 brought back so many good memories, so we just thought it would be nice to share this never-before-seen footage with his fans.
No! Yes! Oh, yes! No! Yes! No, we do not go back. We do not go back. Look, the car's gone. It's gone. Bye, car!
Anticipation for the third Venom movie began building as soon as fans walked out of the theaters. They wanted to know if Eddie Brock and his symbiote are going to be back for a third movie. However, we haven't heard a lot of talk about Venom in 2022. Things seemed to quiet down, and then with Spider-Man No Way Home, they showed us this crazy scene.
What the hell is that?
AKA the Spider Menace. But rest assured, dear fans, until we've uncovered the
First, there was the post-credits scene where Eddie Brock is laying in bed and is suddenly transported to the universe where Spider-Man's identity is revealed to the entire world. Venom immediately recognizes him and licks the screen. But then they showed us another post-credits scene. Here, they featured Eddie sitting in a bar getting drunk, nothing new there. However, before they go skinny dipping, as Venom suggested,
We are drunk. Let's go skinny dip.
I don't think we should skinny dip. Sorry.
they get teleported back to their reality, but not before leaving a little piece of symbiote behind. And we just love how the bartender isn't even fazed about Eddie Brock disappearing in front of him. He's just worried about his tip. We didn't hear any other confirmation about Venom 3 since these two post-credits scenes, and even they weren't official confirmation about Venom 3. They were just telling us that the MCU and Sony weren't finished with the character, and then CinemaCon rolled around in 2022. They officially announced that there is going to be a third Venom movie. Seems like Sony is going to be smashing that like button just like you should do if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, it seems like they'll be expanding their universe with a lot of new movies and superhero characters. The first one that comes to mind is Kraven the Hunter, who is going to be played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Now, there have been talks about the Sinister Six emerging again, but we'll talk about that later. In Venom 3, Andy Serkis will be stepping off the director's chair and Kelly Marcel will be taking over. But she's no stranger to the franchise. She was one of the writers and producers in the first two Venom movies. However, it's going to be her first time sitting in the director's chair as Venom 3 closes the franchise.
Eddie? What was that?
Oh, I have a parasite. Yeah.
So far, the only other cast member that's definitely returning for the franchise is Dan Hardy. Other than him, we have yet to see who will be part of the last Venom movie. You heard that right. Who's gonna be the last Venom movie Sony makes?
No! Take your tiny hands off of me!
We know that just like in Venom Let There Be Carnage, Tom Hardy and Kelly Marcel will be writing the story for Venom 3. They're still working on the title, but we know that they'll need to go out with a bang this time. Oh, and we're hopeful that Michelle Williams will be reprising her role as Anne Weying in the third Venom movie. After all, she did express interest in the role. Everyone was expecting Venom 3 to start filming this year, and according to Hardy, they've already begun. If only they would tell us the release date for Venom 3, that would be great. With all of that out of the way, what could Venom 3 talk about? First off, they will have to address the fact that the Venom symbiote is slowly but surely killing Eddie Brock. Even though we've grown to like this anti-hero and he became San Francisco's self-proclaimed lethal protector, that doesn't make him a good guy. In fact, if Eddie wasn't there to guide him, who knows what would have happened to San Fran. If we look at any other symbiotes, they're pure evil. None of the hosts can control them, so having Eddie Brock influence Venom is quite unusual. Just look at what happened to Peter Parker when he got infected by the symbiote. A superhero turned into a supervillain. That's how powerful Venom is. So in this third movie, maybe they'll decide to place their relationship in the center.
He did not taste good. This guy.
So even though Eddie cheated death many times thanks to Venom, it's likely that this parasite is going to kill him in the future. We can look at the comics and see what happens to any human that bonds with a Kylantar. These things are parasites. The term symbiote is misleading here. That's because they don't form symbiotic relationship with their hosts. They form parasitic ones. They use their host's body for smashing that subscribe button, just like you should do if you haven't done so already. But no, seriously now, they use the bodies of their hosts as long as they need and then leave them to die. For example, in the comics, Eddie Brock is suffering from cancer. He can prolong his life thanks to Venom, but the cancer is growing every day, making Eddie Brock weaker and weaker. Eventually, it gets to the point where Eddie cannot survive without Venom. He's too weak, so this so-called symbiote leaves Eddie to die and goes looking for a different host. However, the movies decided to go the opposite route. Instead of making Eddie suffer from cancer, he appears to be very healthy. If they went against this popular Marvel Comics story, then maybe they're not gonna kill Eddie after all. First off, Sony won't kill off a popular Marvel anti-hero for no apparent reason. They need to have a reason for it, and since Morbius turned out to be, let's say, disappointing, the studio has to bet on their one successful franchise.
You didn't find him?
They might not have any more movies featuring Venom in a standalone movie, but they'll likely use him in future projects. In the future, if both Venom 3 and Kraven the Hunter do really well at the box office and fans love them, they could decide to revive the Sinister Six headed by Kraven the Hunter. Where did speculations for this possible crossover begin? Well, since Sony's focusing on making anti-hero movies, it's only a matter of time before these Spider-Man supervillains join hands and form the most famous league of villains Marvel has ever seen. And when Kraven the Hunter comes back, they'll have all the members they need. Kraven the Hunter will be leading the group. Dr. Octopus, Vulture, and Electro have been introduced already thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home, and we know that Venom and Morbius have their very own movies. So this means that Sony could be working on the Sinister Six and pinning Spider-Man against these supervillains. A different fan theory suggests that Venom is the villain and Eddie is the hero. After all, in Venom There Be Carnage, we know Eddie and Venom had some disagreements on how to protect the city. Venom even left Eddie Brock's body at one point. It took a lot of convincing and ego-stroking to make him help Eddie. If he were truly a symbiote, he wouldn't leave this symbiotic host to face a red Clantar all alone. It clearly shows that Venom is acting in his self-interest and doesn't really care about Eddie or saving San Francisco. All he cares about is eating humans and getting his way. So if Venom is the true villain of the franchise, can Eddie ever get free of him for good? Well, of course it's possible, but the question is, will they do it? In the comics, we know that Eddie dies from cancer when Venom leaves his body, but just before passing away, he meets Marin Liaka, Mr. Negative. He cures Eddie of cancer, and then Venom comes to selfishly bond with his former host after leaving him to die. However, there seems to be a problem. Eddie's no longer the same person as before. He has different antibodies that react negatively to Venom's bonding attempt, and just like that, Eddie Brock became Anti-Venom. As Anti-Venom, Eddie's fully in control and can finally take on the bad guys as he pleases. Maybe Sony will go down a similar route and then include Eddie Brock in this Sinister Six? Guess we'll just have to wait and see. See you in the next video.